My father is now elderly. I am the youngest child. When my mother gave birth to me, she was already 45 years old. This ill-fated baby was born weighing only 2.2 kilograms, just like a little kitten. My father's half-sister came into the house and immediately asked, "Has that boy died yet?" When I was 1 or 2 years old, I cannot remember what illnesses I had, but hearing my father and aunt talk about it later, I realized I was very fragile and hard to keep alive as a child. When I entered elementary school, I was often sick, usually with minor illnesses. But the cruelest period was from 6th grade to 10th grade. I suffered terribly and constantly felt miserable. I spent years killing living beings, fishing constantly. On sunny days, 95% of the time I would be carrying a fishing rod somewhere. Even when it rained, I would wear a traditional palm leaf hat and still go fishing. I was obsessed with fishing. Anyone who has fished before will understand that feeling, when pulling the rod and feeling it shake, when the float suddenly jerks meaning a small fish is biting, when the float slowly rises meaning a very large fish is there. Watching every tiny movement was exciting. I had fishing experience from around age 6 or 7 until I was 14 or 15. Growing up around village boys, I also loved killing insects and animals. I would bend plastic clothes hangers, heat them over a fire, and drip melted plastic onto ants. Countless ants died because of me. Anyone from the countryside would understand the seasonal activities there. Spring, summer, and autumn were fishing seasons. Winter flood season was for casting nets. During the dry season, children in the neighborhood would catch dragonflies, trap insects, catch lizards, and gather snails to cook. At one point, the neighborhood kids raised ornamental fish. I continued creating killing karma. To feed the fish, I caught mosquito larvae, countless spiders, twisted their heads off, tore them apart, and threw them in for the fish to devour. I raised goldfish, guppies, swordtails, and black mollies. They reproduced so much that I personally witnessed them giving birth several times. How cruel I was. Even in this lifetime alone, my karma from killing living beings was already unimaginably heavy. How should I describe it? Only those who witnessed it could understand my suffering at that time. I could neither live peacefully nor die easily. Let me briefly tell you about those painful years. Generally speaking, every 1 or 2 months I would become sick, fever, coughing, and many other illnesses. Let me describe one episode so you can understand what I considered my karmic retribution. I had dengue fever. Most people recover in about a week, but I suffered for more than 2 weeks. Every time I got sick, my hair became messy, my body burned with fever, sweat drenched my head, and rashes and bleeding appeared under my skin. Blood plasma seeped through the skin and stained my clothes. My entire body was in agony, and I cried out in pain. And the coughing, that illness truly felt like karmic punishment. I coughed for about a month. I was small and skinny, but I ate huge amounts of food, especially during puberty. I could eat at least 3 large bowls in one meal, about 6 to 8 small bowls of rice. But whenever I coughed, I vomited everything back up. Partly because I had stomach inflammation, I would cough and cough until all the food came out. Out of 100 meals in a month, I vomited after 90 of them. Perhaps because I loved eating pig stomach, my stomach illness became increasingly severe. Every night I had asthma-like coughing fits. Every 2 minutes I would cough once, all night long. The coughing was strange. I could exhale but could barely inhale. I just kept coughing and coughing until I ran out of air and nearly suffocated, then vomited. I could not sleep at all, only lie there coughing. Imagine how horrifying a single night like that was. Yet I suffered like that for 30 straight days. After the first night, my lungs became swollen. Night after night of continuous coughing, how could my lungs endure it? My eyes turned red from sleeplessness, my body became emaciated, and my eye sockets sank deeply inward. After a month of illness, I could no longer endure it and picked up a knife intending to commit suicide. Fortunately, I did not do it. Otherwise, I would have regretted it deeply later on. I have only described 2 illnesses, yet you can already understand the suffering. But the sickness never stopped. Every month, continuously. During each illness, sweat and dirt accumulated because I could not bathe. Bathing would worsen the sickness. Many other painful conditions also tormented me. And my teeth, they constantly hurt. The pain was so intense that I developed fevers and delirium. Sometimes the pain in my molars spread through the nerves into my head, causing violent spasms again and again. When I was in 5th grade, I became close friends with an older boy. After he was released from prison, I happened to meet him again. I was surprised by how peaceful he seemed, the way he sat calmly, walked gently, and spoke kindly. It felt very strange to me. When I visited his house, he asked, "Do you know what determines success or failure?" I replied, "Whether we are willing to work hard or not." He said, "No," and handed me the book Liao Fan's 4 Lessons. I promised I would finish reading it and return it the next afternoon. Of course, I read the whole thing within a few hours. It deeply shocked me. Because I finished it in one sitting, I was amazed at how much it changed my understanding. After that book, he gave me another book called The Ledger of Merit and Demerit. I also read it very quickly. From then on, around the end of 10th grade when I was about 15 years old, I stopped killing and became vegetarian. After 11th grade, I rarely became sick anymore. Imagine if I had remained that ill while studying at university, who would have taken care of me? I might have died far from home. Illness was no longer my constant companion. Sometimes many months passed without sickness. In the last 7 years, I have only had one somewhat serious illness. At that time, I woke up at 4 a.m. to bow to the Buddha and recite Buddha's name. At night, even until 11 p.m., I continued bowing. One day after attending school, I insisted on completing 30,000 recitations of the Buddha's name. But the more I bowed, the hotter my body became, as if I was developing a fever. When I slept, I had a very strange dream. In the dream, I saw my father celebrating my 1-month birth by buying and slaughtering a pig. The illness was the pig returning for revenge. Soon afterward, I developed chickenpox and suffered for 7 days. This was the only major illness I had during 7 years, and I still remember it clearly. My father later confirmed, "Back then, during your 1-month celebration, I really did slaughter a pig." That made me believe the dream even more. If one wishes to cultivate spiritually and truly escape the cycle of birth and death, one must absolutely stop killing living beings. The best way is to maintain a lifelong vegetarian diet, regularly repent, recite the Buddha's name to eliminate old karma, and pray for the liberation of one's karmic creditors and enemies. If you cultivate well and attain some purity of mind, you will encounter many spiritual experiences, dreams revealing the past and future. And when such dreams occur, future events happen exactly as seen. If your mind becomes even purer, you may open the heavenly eye or gain knowledge of past lives. But at that stage, many major obstacles also arise, such as arrogance and attachment to spiritual bliss. Therefore, one should not seek supernatural powers. In fact, not having them can bring greater peace. Later, when I attended temple retreats, I realized many young people joined mostly for fun. They did not truly believe in karma or in the real existence of the Buddha. They only thought the Buddha's teachings sounded interesting, and participating in the activities was enjoyable. When I first attended a 1-day retreat, I imagined we would spend the entire day bowing and reciting Buddha's name. Instead, it felt more like volunteer work. Still, it was enjoyable. At that time, I brought many Buddhist books to give away to the participants. There was one girl who read very diligently. I already read books quickly, but she read just as fast, which surprised me greatly. After reading many books, she developed deep faith in karma and became a lifelong vegetarian. As we spent more time together, we eventually fell in love. She had suffered from severe asthma, with attacks causing convulsions and fainting. But ever since becoming vegetarian, her illness completely disappeared and never returned. That made me truly happy. Looking back on everything, I feel even more grateful that I had the karmic affinity to encounter Buddhism. Finally, I sincerely wish all of you peace in body and mind, abundant health, steadfast spiritual determination, and happiness. Namo Amitabha Buddha.